We often long to hear from God, but how exactly do we hear from God? I have come to know in my own experience that God's voice isn't always the loud one. The enemy can be pretty loud as he wants our attention. God's voice can at times be a small, still one. Sometimes God speaks in the most minute ways. Sometimes so small, in fact, that you may not hear if you aren't listening or paying attention. You may even graze over it because it's so subtle, becoming a passing thought. Therefore, we need to be observant and remember that a loud voice doesn't always mean the right voice. God can't be limited, meaning that you may think that because God is strong and mighty, that his voice will always be loud. But God speaks to us in all kinds of ways, sometimes in big ways and sometimes in small ones. Don't assume that a small voice isn't God's voice, because sometimes his voice may be a gentle whisper. We also see this in 1 Kings 19 verses 11 to 12. The Lord said, "Go out and stand on the mountain in the presence of the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by." Then a great and powerful wind tore the mountains apart and shattered the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper. So here God spoke to Elijah, and the voice was a gentle whisper. And what happens next? In the next verse we read that Elijah heard it. So he heard the small, still voice, the gentle whisper. After the mighty sounds of the great and powerful wind, after the earthquake, and after the fire, you would think that what came next was also loud. But no, it was a gentle whisper. When I read this, I feel as if this is how life can be at times. We have so many things around us seeking our attention. The loud voices, the trials, and the pain. But if you notice, God wasn't in the loud chaos going on around Elijah. No, God was separate from those loud noises. Sometimes we ask God to speak to us and we listen for a loud voice. We hear all these loud things going on around us that we listen for another loud voice, and then we ask God why he won't speak to us. It may be possible that he is speaking to you, but you just aren't fully listening. And by fully, I mean the gentle whisper. I know that I myself have heard the voices of fear and anxiety so loudly that they overrid the small, still voice of God. I automatically assumed that the louder voice was the right voice. But God revealed to me that this isn't always the case. I have noticed that God a lot of times speaks in a small, gentle whisper. So if you hear something and it's so small that you disregard it, remember that you may be unintentionally disregarding God's voice. Sometimes his voice is so small that you may pass over it. So remember that when you hear or think a thought that may seem to be a small one, don't disregard it. Listen. It may be God speaking to you in a way that you have never noticed before. Thank you so much for listening, and remember that the loud voice doesn't always mean the right voice. Sometimes God speaks in small, gentle ways, but you have to be listening and open to hearing it. Pray that God gives you discernment as well as open ears and eyes to hear him, even when it's a gentle whisper.